ones who know, you take him, you do with him what you will. I wash my hands of this. Power always lies there, seems to put itself in the position of the one who is afflicted. Power always says, look at poor me. Look at what everyone has done to me. Power always turns the equation around, and the persecutor puts that oneself in the place